I'm working on my 2009 Chevy Cobalt, and I'm going to be doing a power window conversion. The car originally came with a gray interior and manual windows. I did a leather interior swap with this black, and I'm going to be doing the power window conversion. And part of the reason why is because I really like the black door panels. There's a couple different ways you can do a power window conversion. You can use an aftermarket kit, and I'll show a picture off to the side here, and that one you pretty much just is the easiest, and it uses all your existing hardware, manual window cranks, so the aftermarket power window unit will fit over there, and then you bolt it to the door frame, and it comes with a wiring kit. But that looks the most like an aftermarket unit. Definitely does not look OEM, but it is easy to do and it does work. What I'm going to do is similar to that. I'm going to upgrade it with all OEM door panels, power window motors, switches, OEM wiring harness from the door to the A-pillar, and then after I get to that point, then I ordered in an aftermarket wiring harness. So I'm going to be splicing in the OEM wires to the aftermarket wiring harness, and I've already cut off the aftermarket wiring harness switches and wired in the original factory ones. So here are the power window motors and cables and everything that goes with the door to do power windows. I did wire it up already, so it'll be easy to put in the car and do. As you can see, that's for the passenger side. So I get an idea what, and this is the passenger side and the driver's side. And as you can see, this is the part that goes in between the door jamb, and then this part connects into what goes inside the cab of the vehicle. And I'm going to depin it, and then wire in the extra wires I need for inside the vehicle. And then I'm going to add these 3 extra wires to the existing wiring harness that's already in the vehicle. Alright, so that's my game plan. Let me go and get started with that. I am going to wire this so it's directly wired to the battery, and you can do it any way you'd like, but I'm going to do it that way because I want to be able to use the windows even when the car is not on. So first thing I'm going to do is remove the door panel, all the manual window crank and regulator and window assembly, and then install the power window assembly, and then wire it in. Door panels are really easy to get off. There is a tool that you can put in here to remove the window crank, but you can also use just a pick to grab the little retainer clamp in there and pull it off, and it comes right off. Next, we're going to remove the Phillips screws. There's 2 Phillips screws underneath the door handle and 1 underneath the door release. Alright, next thing I'm going to do is use the window crank to be able to access the bolts for unhooking the window. So there's an access hole here and an access hole here. There we go. Now the manual window crank and window guides are all free. Alright, I'm going to remove the 4 10mm bolts, two on this side and then 2 on this side. Alright, there's 3 10mm bolts on this side. 1, 2, 3. I've replaced the driver's side regulator, I think once or twice before, but I don't think I've ever had this passenger side apart. This is the manual window assembly. Clamp hold this in the window. You screw that down, and it just clamps into the window. Super easy. All right, now to install the power window part. You do want to make sure that when you install the power window that it's actually down a little bit in order for it to be able to fit in here. Alright, then it just bolts up like the manual one came out. So it is very important to make sure it's down a little bit, otherwise you'll try to fit it in and it just won't fit. So this would be the passenger side wiring harness. I'm gonna hook this up to that battery, make sure everything works, and raise it up to hook up the window. Raise it up a little bit to line up the bolt or the nut with the access hole on both sides. try it all the way down. All right, there we go. So the next part is for the wiring. This part's inside the vehicle, and this is the part that goes in between the door jamb. So what I'm going to do is depin this and add the wires inside the vehicle, and then depin this and add these wires inside the vehicle, and then add the aftermarket wiring harness to that. So literally all I have to do is, it's gonna be hard to show inside the vehicle, but depin this, and once I do that, I can just plug them in these exact holes, and then it should work perfectly. And then do the same thing for inside the vehicle, and then hook it up, rewire it. All right, now I'm gonna remove this bottom piece of kick panel trim to access the wiring from the back. This just pulls out with clips. That one must be stuck inside the vehicle. All right, let me try it with the driver's side power switch. You can see that works too. Alright, so the manual window connector is actually nothing like the one with all the power equipment. So this one I don't have to depin it at all. There's plenty of room in here to push the wire through and then pull it through the door cavity. That's perfect. So when you depin one of these connectors, you're going to want to remove this blue wiring hold tab. And it just pulls right out. And then in here you have to pull out this blue wiring hold thing as well. Then you have to pull off this purple plastic piece, and you do that by lifting up these edges. And then right inside here, to release it, you just lift up on this little plastic piece as you pull it from the back. pulls right out. There we go. Now I'm going to thread these through the door to this and then through there. Alright, disconnect that. Alright, so now I'm just going to thread the power wires through there. So I'm going to thread the power wires through this side, through the door, and then through this little rubber grommet. Phillips screw up there for the door release. aftermarket wiring harness. Plug it in there, hook up the battery and see if it works. Now that I have the passenger side door completely done with the door panel, the power window motor assembly, all the wiring, and then it comes out to the wiring harness on the A-pillar, I'm going to work on the driver's side. So first thing I'm going to do is remove the door panel and then remove the manual window crank and manual window assembly and install the power window motor and assembly. Then put in the new door panel, the wiring, and this here is the wiring for the entire thing. You can see where the factory wiring is going to stop and the aftermarket harness is going to splice in. As soon as I make sure everything works, I'm going to solder and connect everything correctly. I'm just trying to get everything loosely installed before I go back and tuck the wires and solder the all the connections. So that is on the driver's side. And then the passenger side just needs to be plugged in. And then for the power, it goes all the way back and it has a factory inline fuse. And then I temporarily hooked it up to clamps so I can hook up to the battery in the car and just make sure everything works before I, like I said, hardwire everything in. And the great thing is the aftermarket wiring harness comes with an inline fuse too. So let me get started. And just pulls out. And then to remove the outside door latch or the inside door latch, lift up on this piece of plastic and it slips right out. So you lift up on this and this pulls right out. And that goes right there. And as you can see, this on the manual window door panel with the manual mirrors, this clips in. So we're gonna have to modify the other door panel. That one has Pioneer tweeters in it. So we're gonna have to remove that one, modify it so it just accepts this. I kind of prefer manual mirrors, honestly. Alright, next thing I'm going to do is roll down the window to line up the bolts you loosen to release the glass. Alright, right about there, it lines up perfectly. So it has access holes, and by cranking the window you can line up the little nut that clamps on the window. And then same thing on this side. There we go. I'm going to hold the window as I crank down. And there we go. Window is released. I'm going to grab, next I'm going to remove 5 10mm bolts, 2 for the regulator portion and 2 for the back part of the window track. Now I'm going to remove the whole assembly. recommend you tape up the window. You put a layer of tape on the backside all the way around, and that'll hold the window a little bit better than a wedge will. And there's what the manual window assembly looks like. Now I'm going to remove the speaker, and that's going to give me a little more access for the wiring. Now I'm going to install the power window assembly. And it comes out just like the manual window. I mean, it goes in just like the manual window one came out. So one of the things to remember when you're putting this in is you do have to adjust the window down a couple inches. Otherwise it won't fit inside and connect to the window. Connect all the wiring so I can lower the window a little bit on the rails. Use the window switch to go down a little bit. That's perfect. everything on this side, then I'll hook the window up to the clamps, the frame. Alright, adjust the window up so I can use the access holes to tighten it up. Right about there. Test the window. Auto down still works. And down. Perfect. Alright, next thing I'm going to do is remove the kick panel trim so I can access the wiring behind the A-pillar. And to do that, you just lift up. There we go. And I'm going to pull out basically on manual window cars with manual mirrors, pretty much all you have for wiring is for the automatic locks, which are for the OnStar and the side impact. But there is room right here to thread the wires through. So now I'm just going to cut them. I could depin it, which is pretty simple to do. To depin it, you just push down on this little tab right here as you tug the wire. Well, let's go and do that. So you push down the tab, and you just pull the wire out. Alright, you can see you lift up on this part and the wire just slips out. So here's the last one. This is for the lighting that lights the power window buttons. Lift up on the little tab and it just pulls right out. And that's how you depin it. So obviously the wiring that goes to the motor stays in the car, and the rest of the 4 wires get threaded through the rubber hosing into the A-pillar into the cab of the vehicle. There's one. I can just go through this little opening right here. Alright, and here's where the factory wiring harness meets the aftermarket wiring harness. I originally wired all this up just to test it. Originally wired all this up just to test it. So of course it's starting to rain.
next wire. And the next wire. And like I said earlier, I'm going to come back and solder all these together, clean up the wiring so it's tucked and you won't be able to see any wiring. And last but not least, the black one. There we go. Now I'm going to hook the battery back up and test it, and if everything works, then button everything back up. Alright, so here I have the passenger side connector, and then the driver's side connector is already over there. And the passenger side has the 3 wires, and the passenger side has the 3 wires, driver's side has the 4 wires. Plug in the driver's side. So now I'm going to test it all before I put the door panel back together. Auto down for the driver's side works great. Up. And now for the passenger side. down, up, perfect. Now let's try the auto down. Yep. Passenger side. And try it by the actual. Alright, so after I get the soldering iron or gun and solder everything together, tuck everything where it needs to be, this will be done. Adding factory power windows, door panels, wiring inside the door, using an aftermarket wiring harness to connect everything together and put it power from the battery. If you like this content, please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.